Hello, everybody. Welcome to Quantum Witch Cafe, your safe place, I should say, to talk about anything paranormal, fringe, strange, UFOs, UAP. If you're one of those fancy people that don't want to be a UFO person, but you really are, we got you too. And tonight we have Lily Nova, who I don't know if she has her own channel, which is fairly new. She has a really huge following on TikTok. She's known as the UFO whisperer because she's just really good at making contact, and she's actually documented a lot of stuff on a camera. So, welcome, Lily. Before we get started, I'm going to say hello to everybody in the chat. Some of you guys just hopped on over to this stream. Thank you so much for hanging out earlier, and thank you if you're listening now, later, in the future, anywhere you're listening. Anomalous Podcast Network, YouTube, whatever you're listening to this on, I really, really appreciate your support. So thank you for being around. Lily, for those people that don't know who you are, do you want to give us a rundown of who you are, what you do, and kind of how you started this journey?
Yeah, so it has been a very crazy, just roller coaster since COVID, essentially. I got into astrophotography. That's kind of where everything started, where, I was taking pictures of the night sky, spending all my time out under the stars in the middle of lockdown. And then my first UFO experience happened. And then another one happened, and then another one, and then another one. I saw like 14 different UFOs, very close encounters in the matter of 2 weeks. And since then, it's just been a crazy adventure. So it started off as an astrophotographer, and I was documenting them. And that's one of the reasons why they were popping up to me, because they knew that I was recording them. I think they wanted me to share that with people. And so I was doing that for a bit, and more recently that evolved into me learning how to initiate contact with them. So that's one of my big focuses on now, is teaching people how to make contact and do CE5 and build a relationship with these beings. I have also developed psychic gifts since these UFO encounters, which is actually like this, that's like a pretty common thing. People, their intuition kicks up, or, they begin hearing things or seeing things. For me, it was very heavily clairaudient, where I began having visions. And so I've nurtured and developed that gift. And I also offer star origins and Akashic readings for people now that I can access that information and see all that crazy stuff. And started YouTube recently, which I just started doing live meditations and activations every Sunday at 2 p.m. Central.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's been great. Just building community. The same people are coming in, and we got new people come in, and it's been fun. So I'm
That's
excited
awesome.
about that. Mm-hmm.
I just had to give people some background information. I met Lily in a random room on Clubhouse, and she was talking about, she just popped in and was like, yeah, so this weird thing happened. And she starts talking about how she was at Star Park doing astrophotography. And then there was this big bowl-shaped craft in the wood line. So it's just crazy to see how you went from just, I'm a reporter, I'm documenting, to helping people kind of receive activations and get in touch with their star lineage. And I think it's a great thing, because we need more people helping people connect to things that are not so fearful, because a lot of people are afraid to make contact, or they've had contact with other beings that are more low vibrational, mean, evil, whatever. And you are making contact with these beautiful, loving beings, right? So
Yeah.
So when did you start getting like the contact stuff happening with these beings? I know you were documenting for a while before you started really purposefully contacting them.
Yeah, and whenever we met, that was like literally the week after I'm seeing UFOs left and right. I spent the night at this park. surrounded by 5 different UFOs, and I recorded them all night until the sun came up because I was afraid to leave. And I had no idea like who these UFOs were, what they were doing. So I was like super desperate for answers at that time whenever we met. I was just like, whoa, like what is going on? And so that kind of happened for a bit where in as I saw them more, I was kind of taking notes on the way that they would appear. And it was kind of like developing a communication with them, developing a relationship with them, kind of getting to understand like how they work. But I didn't know who they were for a while. Everything really shifted, I'd say about maybe 5 or 6 months in, whenever I had heard about, I heard about CE5. I found Dr. Greer, which honestly, I did not know about Dr. Greer until that weekend on Clubhouse whenever we met. He
That's
was like,
right.
yeah, he just came on as like a guest, and then everybody was freaking out. And
Yeah.
yeah, and then I was
And
like,
then we all
wow.
caravanned and followed him somewhere else. I remember before all his before he got kind of associated with some naughty things, I guess. But
Mm,
yeah, that's awesome. So you were doing the okay, so we have a question for you.
mhm,
She says, how old were you when you started doing this, making contact? Did you have paranormal experiences prior to spending the night with UFOs, or was this kind of something that is new to you?
mhm. This is pretty new. It started over the last 2 years. I wasn't a UFO person before this, although my dad growing up showed me Ancient Aliens, and we would sit there and stay up all night talking about the secrets of the universe. And, so I was always curious about it, but I didn't really know anything. I hadn't had any experiences like that. I've always had heightened intuition, and I had a spiritual experience before that. And so there was one thing that happened whenever I was younger, and it always like stuck out to me. I don't remember it, but my mom told me
Oh,
that,
wow.
yeah, and I want to actually try and tune in and see if I could pick up any more information on this. But my mom told me that she was really freaked out one night because she got up in the middle of the night and came downstairs. I was in the kitchen, and I was like on my hands and knees pointing to the wall, and I was like, they went right in there. and
Wow.
and she was freaked out. So I think that I did have some experiences whenever I was younger. I haven't remembered them yet.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just talking to Leslie earlier, Leslie Mitchell Clark, and she says you can meditate and kind of ask for that sort of information, or you can see somebody like her that
Mm-hmm.
leads you back to that point in time. So that'd be really interesting to find out more about what you saw that night.
Yeah, I set the intention, and then I kind of like half-ass started meditating on it, and then I think I don't know if I like fell asleep or what, but nothing came. Um, so I haven't put too much effort into it. I just kind of remembered it again. But yeah, I definitely want to do that. And if I can't get anything lately, I've been thinking about doing hypnotherapy as well, to just
Very
go in
cool.
way deep and see, what else. It's always nice to get another person's perspective on it too.
For sure. Well, we'll have to put you in contact with Leslie because that's what she
Yeah.
does. And you recently had an article about one of your pictures that you caught of a UFO, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had an article in Lad Bible come out in the Mirror with some of my footage and some of my story, and yeah, it's I was surprised that came out with because I talk about even what some of these beings look like in this
Right.
mainstream article. Like I mentioned, I don't say it was the Pleiadians, but I mentioned what they look like, what they,
Yeah.
the different ones that I've seen. So it was really amazing that made it into mainstream media.
Yeah, that's kind of the stuff that, we need to talk about. Just any experience that somebody has, they need outlets to talk about what they saw or what happened to them or who they contacted, what they contacted
Mhm.
without being afraid of being censored because It was a great article, guys, and I put all your links in the description, so if people want to check that out. But was that the most so because what you one of the ones they showed was the triangle, right, that you caught?
Yeah, there was one where it's like two black triangles, and there's kind of a weird thing in between them. I think it might be like a portal opening up or something. So there's one where it's two black triangles. There was another ship that I caught pretty up close. It's got kind of like a weird orange opening or something on it. Um, I also caught footage of a beam of light. It was these lights in the shape of a triangle. This is the one that was in front of me at that park, that bowl
Wow.
shaped one. Yeah, that one was really close. And on my cell phone, I caught video of a beam of light coming out of it. You can just see the light go up and then stop.
Wow.
Yeah, that's one of the craziest ones. So those were in there.
That's interesting. Yeah, you guys have to check it out because she's caught so many things. It's in the different kinds. You know, people always say like, "Well, why is there so many different kinds?" It's because do they belong to other types of beings? Like a, you know, when you see like an orb versus a triangle, are you seeing different beings operating each one?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. There are some, for a while, like every single one that I was seeing was vastly different. It felt different. And also, so as I began to make contact with them, and that's as I began finding, that's when I found out I received my first vision of who was manning this orb. And they showed up in a little golden orb. And like, but you can't fit in there. It's like this
Right.
little golden orb. So that was kind of strange. I didn't know if it
Don't
was
you have
like
a picture of one of those orbs and it looks like it has a little ET in it?
uh yeah, I do have a picture of a orb that there's a triangle in between, and then there's two.
Okay. That's right. That's what it was.
Yeah. So that's really interesting because so that orb that we were just talking about with the triangle in between, and there's silhouettes of a being on each side. There's two beings. That orb was small. So what are they doing? Are they shrinking themselves down or projecting their consciousness in some way? You know what I mean? So I think they can come
Right.
in all different shapes and sizes. It doesn't matter. A lot of the time they come in little orbs. I think they're projecting their consciousness and projecting it out there. They're not physically there, but they're there.
Right. I've heard somebody say that the orb, what that we see initially is like they're spinning Merkaba,
Mm-hmm.
because that's like our light vehicle. So that's why so many people see the orbs, and then they have communications. What are your thoughts on, I guess, using a Merkaba to travel? Do you think that they're doing something similar to that, or do you think that's what they're doing?
I think that has something to do with it. Yes, at least for some of the. I don't know if like every type of being can
Right.
travel through a Merkaba, but I definitely think that some of them can and probably are. I've seen a lot of little golden orbs, like that one that I said with the triangle and the silhouette, but other ones that are just little orbs. And I wonder if that's some sort of a Merkaba or something. I think it has something to do with it.
Yes, because I've seen the first ones that I saw were orbs, and they were about the size. They got close enough so I could see if they were like the size of a basketball. But they were
Wow.
like a golden white, not quite white, but not super gold. But I have seen some little gold ones just hanging out in the sky before. And it makes you wonder, like so many people are seeing these orbs, especially during the daytime. They're seeing those little white orbs.
Yes, that's
And
what I catch a lot.
yes, yes. And it's crazy. So a lot of people think they have to do the CE5 or the contact meditations at nighttime, but
Mhm.
you have to do it. You can do it during the daytime too, and you don't even really even have to leave your room at
Mhm.
times, right? It's just
Yeah.
whenever you can do it, you can do it. So how does do you do a lot of meditations during the daytime, or do you mostly do them at night? I know you said you do your live meditations at 2 p.m. on Sunday. So
Mm-hmm.
do you get a lot of activity during the daytime and at nighttime, or is it more than the other?
Yeah, at first it was nighttime, but then as I began initiating contact with them, and at the time also, I didn't know like really what CE5 was. I was kind of already doing it. So I've done like the official CE5 meditation like once or twice. So you don't need that to make contact. But
Not at all.
yeah, so you don't need that. But whenever I found out that I could make contact with them, I made it like a daily routine where every sunset I would go out, or every day, and that's whenever I began catching these golden orbs. And it's like they show up in the sunlight, but if there's not light, you can't see them. And
Interesting.
yeah, and a lot of time you can't see them with your eyes either, but they show up on the camera,
Yeah.
which is pretty interesting. So it was night, and then it's been mostly day. And actually, a few weeks ago during a daytime Sunday meditation, we actually had two orbs come up beside me, and it froze the phone and froze my live.
Oh, wow. They're just like they override the system, and that's why so many people, I remember I had, like, a meditation, and I was like, "Man, why don't people," like, I was kinda mad at the ETs at this point, or the interdimensional other beings. I was like, "Just come on, man, like, we know you're there. People
Mhm.
wanna see you, let them see you," and they had showed me this whole, like, they gave me, like, this, like, I went into a trance, and then I thought I fell asleep, but I was sitting up, and I'm not the type of person, like, I'm bougie, like, I had to be comfortable to fall asleep, it has to be quiet, I had to have blankets and pillows, so I was sitting in this stupid chair, and I get, like, into a trance, and then I sort of fall asleep, and
Mhm.
then I get this whole, like, explanation, basically, and they'd shown me part of it in a dream, and then they showed me part of it here in this meditation trance
Wow.
situation, and one of them was, like, me fumbling with my phone to take a picture of this thing that landed and like my phone was like glitching out and turning off and
Yeah.
switching screens, and which is crazy because we see that happening on Skinwalker Ranch quite a couple of times, like they showed their phone just like doing crazy stuff,
Wow.
but it's like they override your feed because like the
Yeah.
electromagnetic spectrum that they're in, or whatever spectrum they're in, is messing with technology. So it's like, what makes people think they could just like take a selfie with an ET? Like, is our technology even ready to do that? I think
Right.
that, we have you're even when you capture them, you're using a great camera. You're using an
Mhm.
astrophotography camera. And it's like they don't want to like fly right next to it and take a picture because who says it would
Yeah,
even work with
they
that?
keep their distance too. Like, even, I mean, they've been like, the closest I've gotten is probably still like a good size like yard away. Um, so yeah, I think that also has to do with if they were near us, and I feel like I felt their presence before. You can feel it, and it's intense. So I mean, that what if that could like harm us in some way, or just
Right.
mess with our body in some way, or really mess with our frequency? So we don't know. So I think they want to be safe with us too. And you're right, it probably, maybe it wouldn't even show up on camera. Maybe our eyes can't pick it up, the light spectrum that
Right.
they're in, or the way that they're manifesting. I have caught one photo of a light being though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that something you can show us, or is that something you're saving?
Yeah, I can show it right now if you'd
That'd be
like.
awesome. Can you
Okay.
go share screen? I'm gonna write down my question before I forget it. Oh, forgot it. It left my brain. I had a question.
Oh
It'll come
no.
back.
Oh no. Yeah, so this share.
Do I have to invite you to share? No?
I think it's letting me.
Oh, there you are. Got it.
Okay,
So let me
perfect.
know when you pull it up and you want to share it.
There
There
we
we go.
go. So
Oh, that's right. I remember this one.
yeah, so it's right here. And it's just, pardon the messy room. It was in
There's
a
like one thing on the floor. Stop it.
this was an old classroom in the basement that I had been working on, and I was down there and I just took a picture for memory. And you can even see, like, it looks like there's like a head, like, um it's really bright right there. But yeah, this thing
Interesting.
was right in front of me. This is with my camera, my phone camera.
And you
So
said you weren't even like trying to take pictures of anything, right? Am I
no,
remembering this particular one?
yeah, exactly. I didn't even know. I was meditating a lot and I could feel them around me a lot, but had no idea that one was standing right in front of my face. until I saw this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's a little rainbows in it.
Yeah, and people expect them to look a certain way, but if we're dealing with something that doesn't have a physical body as we see physicality, then it's useless for us to have these expectations and
Mm-hmm.
these anthropomorphic beliefs on something that isn't even in our same realm all the time. Like they grew up in different beliefs, they grew up in different energetic systems. They don't have gravity, they might not have time as we see it.
Right.
So we have to kind of not expect things to show up with a body and two eyes. Sometimes they're just light. It sounds
Yeah.
super weird, but it's just light. And they do us a favor sometimes of kind of like making a shape of themselves. So we like, oh, it's a being. It's got a head, like we can recognize
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I think some of these can take whatever form or shape they want. Some of these are so just so close to source. Or just, yeah, like you said, they may be made out of pure energy, not physical body. So
Right. And we're also seeing like a lot of like instances in the past even where somebody will see radar blips and then people out and about in the airfield won't see it, or people flying won't see these things, and you've got this radar operator say like there's like a fleet, or there's all these little blips on there, who's out there, like tell us who you are, and it's not one of our craft, it's something else, and nobody can see it but the radar. But then we have it vice versa where some guy's flying and he sees it, but the radar doesn't see it.
yeah.
And we have people looking at a sky, they don't see anything, but they pull out their infrared or even their phone. Because remember, I was flipping out because I had my iPad out that one day. I was
Yeah.
like, it's all huge. Just
Yeah.
like because my phone was dying and my camera on my iPad's better. And I was doing CE5 and like I remember what you said, like just ask them to kind of like show up. And I was just kind of like trying to see where I wanted to point it. And I see this orb, but I'm like looking behind it. I'm like, I don't see it with my eyes. And how stupid of me to be so confused by that when we don't see, like we see barely anything as far as like the visible spectrum goes.
Yeah.
I just think thinking outside of the box and not expecting things to look familiar is going to really help people in this, whether you're a nuts and bolts person or a woo person, whatever people want to say. Because it's not going to be, I mean, in some ways they meet our expectations, so we understand it, but it's almost like bait. It's like, okay, you saw this light ship, you're paying attention. Now I'm going to really show you the weird stuff, like the light being you caught, It's just this blob of light, but you know that it's sentient. So we just have to really like open our minds to different things that we don't understand. And even biological effects, like you said, maybe they're doing us a favor because maybe whatever they're using to propel and manipulate gravity or repel gravity it's going to harm us. And we're seeing that more, people talking about that more now. We're seeing that, Gary Nolan's research with the part of the brain that's changed amongst people that have had close encounters or experience with craft.
Really? And what was that?
So there's an area inside your brain called it's the caudate, and they shorten it with caudate/putamen just to because it's in one area, and the morphology of it changes, like it shows some sort of degeneration. I'll have to find, I'll send you one of his interviews because he's doing research on people that have had these sorts of encounters and does like these pictures of their brain, and they have something different, and he's with Harvard. So like he's, people are starting to take this seriously, thankfully. But we're still kind of on the fringe, right? Like it's not that the woo people are too dumb to understand what the nuts and bolts people are looking for. And it should not even be us versus them, but it's kind of like that right now. It's just how it is. But it's not that we're too dumb to understand that or we're not looking for that. I think so many of us have sort of looked for that initially, but then have had these experiences where it kind of just knocks you out of the box. People talk about like thinking outside the box. Some of these experiences just kick you right out of the box, and all of a sudden you're doing what you're doing. You're channeling. You're doing starseed readings or star lineage readings, and I think it's really amazing because I think that you're ahead of a lot of this, and it happened so fast for you. So I don't know how anybody could ever say I don't know how anybody could just not listen for a minute. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the frustrating part, is like we're so stigmatized. They're waiting for the government to give us a freaking picture or a piece of UFO. And we
Yeah.
all know they're not going to do that. And I hate that. Like, I hate that we have to give up on, something that we're supposed to trust to run our lives. They
Yeah.
do run our lives, to just not help us out. But at the same time, and people keep saying it, it's going to be on the people on the ground, the everyday people like you or like me. And I wouldn't, or like even like the person across the street that never thought about a UFO, but they see an orb and it
Mhm.
changes their life. Somebody mentioned earlier when I had Leslie on, like, oh, I only saw an orb. You didn't only see an orb. Like, I've seen people's life change because of an orb,
Yeah.
because then you start wondering what it is
Yeah.
and
For
you
sure.
go down the rabbit holes. So,
Yeah.
and you also mentioned something that I think people need to pay attention to. Like, you don't have CE5 is almost a brand at this point. So, any meditation that you do with projecting a intention out
Mhm.
is sufficient, because I remember at one point you had said, I just kind of asked them to go in front of my camera.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be really simple. It's crazy. Sometimes it can be.
Do you use anything else as far as like when you're doing your guided meditations? Do you do any crystal bowls? Do you do any sort of like, do you burn any herbs? Do you
Mhm.
have any sort of, I hate saying ritual because people get weirded out by it, but it is, like,
Yeah.
do anything like that with people?
Well, whenever I do my Akashic Star Origin readings, I I get comfortable. I have a moonstone pyramid. So I grab my pyramid, and sometimes I'll grab, other crystals that help with your crown and in your third eye chakra. And that's actually something that whenever I first began communicating more personally with them, they told me to make contact with them. They they showed me the pyramid and the crystals, and then one other thing, which is frequency music. I listen to 963 hertz. So my ritual is I grab a few crystals, I get comfortable, I put in my headphones listening to 963 hertz, and then I set the intention, and I ask my Akashic guides and my galactic guides to, help me access this information and show me what's the highest good for all. So that's my routine. And similar with CE5, kind of just setting the intention out, and getting in a relaxed state. It could be outside. I got in a really relaxed state the other day. So spending time outside is really, really good. Just being in nature really helps to harmonize you. And I just laid in the grass and just looked up at the sky and looked at the clouds and just kind of cherished the moment. And then I felt them there. Like I began to feel them. So yeah, just getting in a relaxed state, setting that intention and asking. And you want to be specific about, who you are wanting to make contact with also.
Yes, yes. And that's with any spiritual practice. You want to set your parameters. And it could be something simple, just saying like, I don't want low vibrational or mean entities here. No, nothing evil or that wants to cause harm is allowed to come here. And you kind
Yeah.
of do that sort of thing. So I
Mhm.
think that that's important in anything we do, if you think about it. But getting into that state of mind where you're completely relaxed, and even getting into a flow state, kind of like John when he plays the guitar and
Yeah.
he starts getting these beings coming, in front of him or above him. um,
Yeah.
it's just that, like, one of the most coolest experiences I've had was the baby fell asleep in the back of the car and my son was at school and I had like an hour to kill. So I just rolled down my windows and I have like the little sky window thing, and I put my seat back and I did a quick contact meditation. And it was actually from Contacttor.
Mhm.
Oh my God, why am I forgetting her name? She's so amazing. But
I know
yeah,
who you're
the
talking about.
Contacttor has some meditations on their YouTube channel. And I did that, and that one's only like 10 minutes. And I'm laying there, and I look out my window and I see something. So I get my little
Wow.
phone. I'm like, and that's the one that I sent you, that they're near like the sun.
Yeah.
Like if you point in the direction of the sun, where the sun is shining,
Light.
it like catches them. But
Yeah.
I saw something. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, is that a balloon? What is it? And then I didn't see it anymore. And I was like, well, I'm just going to record in that direction and see if anything pops up. But yeah,
Didn't
they
you
were just
get
kind of
one?
doing.
Didn't
Yeah.
you get one going across?
Yeah,
I remember that
that was
video.
another time. Yeah, this was a different
Uh-huh.
time, but that
Okay.
time I
Yeah.
was like, because I remember you were posting about the sun ones, and a lot of people were kind of seeing those if they look for
Hmm.
them during the
Yeah.
daytime, and
Hmm.
some are kind of amorphous, like they change shape.
Yeah. Yeah. I highly recommend. Actually, I had a reading with a woman the other day, and she was really interested in making contact. And I told her about the pointing at the sun, trying it during the day. You can catch them in the sunlight. And literally the next day, she sent me pictures of this orb in the sunlight, and I zoomed in on it. I was like, no way. I zoom in on it, and there was just like a perfect heart, like in this.
Oh,
It was so cute, and I was like, that's legit. She got it
yeah, and
the
you do
first day.
photography, right? Like, so before any of this, guys, she's a photographer. Like, she knows what a glare looks like on the camera.
Hmm.
Like, you do deep space photography, you do normal, I've seen a lot of stuff you do. You do a lot of beautiful pictures, but
Thank
I
you.
think that you would know the difference between like the little weird camera flare, and I think most people can. Like, it's rare. Like, some
Hmm.
people will try to pass it off sometimes, but it looks different, and then also like it moves differently. So
Hmm.
it's
See
not like
what?
she's just,
Yeah, and that one that she showed me, whenever I zoomed in, because I was like, is that a glare or something? Because I was kind of like surprised, like she got one like immediately after. But they like to do that. They like to surprise you, and as soon as you learn like a new piece of information, and try something, I feel like just like with you and the contact tour meditation, they want to show you
yeah.
like, hey, it worked. And whenever
Hmm.
I zoomed in on it and I saw a heart, I knew. I was like, that's definitely
Yeah, because I do give people a lot of hearts, it seems. Share the
Yeah.
light. That's who I'm thinking of. Sharon, the Share the
Mm-hmm.
Light. So she's the one that does the meditations with them, and she's the
Mm-hmm.
co-founder of Contactee. So yeah, it was her
That's
meditation.
awesome.
It just came to me, but but yeah. So say somebody is curious about this. Maybe they just saw an orb, and they want to know what it was
Mm-hmm.
or what it is, or maybe they saw the orb, had this amazing feeling, and they want that again. What is like your step by step? Like, I'm new. I'm like, Lily, I saw this orb and I
Mm-hmm.
want to see it again, and I want to know who the occupants are. I want to know who's driving it. I want to know what it means, whatever. What would you tell
Yeah.
me? Like, I'm a new client. Like, I saw my first orb.
Okay. I would say so. And actually, these are some videos that I made on YouTube. I made like a starseed mantra. That's like step one. Like, voice out that you are wanting to connect with these star beings, these enlightened beings, and ask them. Just kind of ask them. Ask is basically step one, and set that intention that you want to learn more and you want to connect with them. And then after that, usually you will get some sort of a sign. And you can also there's a 3 keys to connect YouTube video that I made that takes you through some visualization and energy techniques that I also use whenever I am connecting with them and doing my readings and stuff like that. So I think that's a good practice, and a protective energy bubble too. There's 3 keys to help you kind of connect and be able to receive information. That was one of the first things that they showed me whenever they sent me a telepathic vision of the blue woman with the in that golden orb. Um, they sent me a vision of her in her gray silver space uniform, light blue skin, no hair. That was the first one that I ever saw. And then they showed me another image of a head with light entering in through the top. I had no idea what a download was.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
so amazing.
Yeah, so that's a download, and that's how you receive this information. It's almost like uploading. It's like sticking a thumb drive into a computer with like some updated information or something, and it kind of are we receive these downloads, and they're kind of like packets of information.
Yeah, and that's been reported by other people too. People that wouldn't even seem like the type. Like, I don't know if you've read American Cosmic.
Mm-mm.
One of the people she talks about, he does that. Like, he gets these downloads, and he's like an inventor and patents things, a
Wow.
millionaire. Like, but he gets his. I think he's in biomedical, but he gets his inspiration by, like, he literally goes to sleep thirsty, drinks water barefoot outside. He doesn't drink coffee or caffeine, and he just drinks this water and stands outside and gets these downloads
Wow.
about these amazing ideas, like these devices that change people's lives. And it's just,
That's amazing.
nobody taught him that. He's not a UFO guy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, if you ask, you're probably going to get some answers.
Yeah, just taking some time to kind of quiet yourself, and what you said earlier about the flow state, that's actually before I even meditated. I was not meditating before this. Now I meditate a lot to make contact, but before I was going out and taking pictures of the night sky or during sunset, and I kind of just got into a flow state where you feel bliss, and you just feel you're very connected to source whenever you're in a creative flow state. It's very natural. You're channeling that energy essentially. And that's how I would connect with them. Like literally they would not show
So
up
doing
until
what makes you happy, doing what
Yes.
makes you happiest, right? That fulfills
Yes.
you.
Yeah, following your bliss. That was one of the main things. I'm like, what should I be doing? What do I do? they're like, follow your bliss. And I was like,
Yeah,
yes,
imagine
it
my
is.
surprise when I'm sitting with a napping baby in the car, and I was like, "This is dumb. I want to get out of the car, but I can't leave the baby in the car, but I don't want to wake him up." And I was like, "Ah, I gave up. I surrendered to being a mom in that moment." And that's, I had those. I'm just gonna do a meditation because I have time right now because the baby's quiet. So,
Yeah.
I say baby, but he's like 2. He just turned 3, but like
Oh
he's my
wow.
youngest, so he's the baby. But yeah, just do what you do. And I've noticed like things that I do, and I'll get like chills, but not all over. They're only here. So I feel like that's some sort of like
The crown.
opening
Yeah.
crown chakra, or even the galactic gateway chakra that not a lot of people talk about, because
Oh yeah.
I had a similar vision, and I'll have to send you a picture of it because I drew it not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before that. 2019, I want to say. And I was meditating, and I got this vision of like a silhouette of a person, but you couldn't see who. It wasn't a person. It was like a light being person, but it was
Wow.
it was us. It was our true like energetic
Form.
signature, and it had like this ripple kind of just like coming out with like the
Wow.
chakra colors kind of like prismatic. And that was before I finished. I had taken some, I'm a Sui Reiki master, so I took all that stuff, but it didn't have a lot of pictures to go with it. But maybe I had seen some of this stuff before, but it was weird, like the way it was alive. It wasn't just a picture. It was like, and I couldn't stop it. It was just there in my head, like I was forced to watch this movie, even though I know I wasn't forced, because in a way, if you're meditating, you're opening yourself, you are looking for it.
Yeah.
But I had to send you that picture because it was like a rainbow coming down.
That sounds beautiful.
And I'm not an artist, so it's not going to be that cool of a picture. But
No, I'm sure it's awesome. That's
but it's
actually
interesting
one of
that you
the
see that.
yeah, that's actually one of the other things that they've showed me and told me about too. Just visualizing like a rainbow, entering through your body, and kind of doing that is also just something that actually I did a CE5 on Thanksgiving just by myself, and I did get one that showed up, and it's just kind of like on the horizon, stayed for maybe a minute, and then it disappeared. And then I closed my eyes to try and tune in to who it was, and I saw a spaceship, and then I saw a rainbow, and they were telling me to
Wow.
like use use rainbow energy. And I was like, that's kind of weird, but okay.
Well,
I'll do
the
it.
colors, the
Yeah.
colors are so important, like, and it aligns to certain traits, just like your chakras do. And Kat read my mind. She says rainbow. She said it said rainbow entering. I was just going to talk about rainbow eating. Like they say, like just from a
Mhm.
pure, like you were a nutritionist, right? So
Yeah.
eating the rainbow, like it
Yeah.
has all the vitamins that you need. And you have these people that will do these chakra eatings where like they'll eat like red root vegetables and strawberries that pertain to your root chakra to get you,
Yeah.
nourish your root chakra. And then they'll do like, the next one, the next day is oranges or, something orange to go with your sacral. And it's kind of like a thing that they do. But in reality, we should be doing that every day, eating the rainbow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting how the colors are so important
Mm-hmm. They hold
because
different frequencies, different energy.
they align to different parts of our life and they fix that. Same thing with crystals. Like you see my husband always laughs at me, but when I was super sick with my first baby, he was like, I had all day sickness and I got vertigo. I was just like a useless blob of like pregnant woman just laying there. And he's like, do you want me to put your rocks on your body?
Oh my God.
Because I had heart-shaped chakra rocks,
Wow.
and they were dyed granite. And people would always talk crap like those are dyed, and I'm like, they're granite though, and color frequency. Color, if you're seeing a color, it's a real thing, so you can
Yeah.
use that. And there's even people, Truth Seeker, the one that I had on, the music guy, he's super awesome. He was saying that he'll do his LED lights to certain colors when he's meditating. So if he's focusing like on his heart chakra, he'll put the LEDs to green.
Yeah. I like
And
that.
I had the dude on from Lucius Labs, Alexi, and he's talking about coordinating some sort of like color yoga where like as you're doing the yoga practice, it's geared to your chakras, and the light is going to change when you're working like on each chakra.
Yeah. Yeah.
So rainbows are very important,
I
and
got
they're just,
my rainbow light back there. It's
I
on
see
rainbow.
it. I love it. I have a selenite that has like a little color changing thing
Oh
under it that
no.
changes.
That's awesome.
It was like in my
Oh.
labor and delivery room because they were like, you can't bring candles, obviously. I had to go to a hospital. But I had my little cell. I had a little one, and then I ended up getting a bigger one like this year. I found it like super cheap somewhere, and it changes color. So it has all the colors and it
That's
just rotates
perfect.
through. But it's very cool that
Yeah.
people work with color. And it's important to work with color, people. I mean, I have a friend, Olivia, and she's in England. She's a London fashion consultant. She's done all this cool stuff. She really teaches like putting your wardrobe to certain colors to like enhance your chakras and give you
Wow.
confidence. And then we look at organized religion, which a lot of people are not happy with. But I grew up Catholic, so I saw a lot of weird Catholic stuff. And they would change, like the priests would change now if you're Catholic, tell me what they're called. I'm about to call them sash thingamabobs that they wear on their, like for Easter or Lent, it was purple. And then
Yeah.
for like another season, it was green. So people have like significance in color, but they forget about that as they grow up. They're
Right.
like, it
What
doesn't
it
have
meant in the
meaning
first
anymore.
place. Yeah.
Yeah. Or even the kids, like they like certain colors because they like certain colors. Well, it makes me happy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it
for
speaks
sure.
to us. And that's my whole color rant.
I
I
like
was
it.
able to tie in like dyed crystals are fun too.
I like it. Yeah, and with the chakras too, that was one of the first things that they told me when I began communicating with them more. They were like, your heart chakra needs attention, and you're this. There was like 3 different. Really, I had to go through all of them, but they were like, these ones are
Yeah.
really bad. You need to like. That's what's wrong with you. Because I was just like, I don't know. I was going through a rough time, and it can
Yeah.
really be correlated with your chakras. It's crazy
And
how much a
I'm sure they
difference.
were accurate too. Like maybe you have had some heartache or heartbreak, or weren't loved enough, or didn't give enough love in some instances. But all that stuff, people forget about it. And it's almost like I tell people it's like a clog in your pipe, like because
Yeah.
you have the central column that goes through that connects you to basically earth and sky called your sushumna, and it's this light pillar, and you're always connected to it but sometimes it's more thin. And this is just kind of like a visual, like none of this stuff is like, I can't prove it obviously, but I've been shown people's that are just like super, like it's like a wisp,
Mm-hmm.
and then some people that work on it, it builds like a column of light, but within that light is what kind of like anchors your chakras. It's almost like beads on a thread. So
Ah,
each chakra, like you have to have, it's like grounding energy, like very like grounding electricity almost. Like you're having this
yeah.
download, but it doesn't have anywhere to go, and it can mess up your chakras. Like, or
Yeah.
like you had this big heartbreak one day and your chakra just got all like beat up and bruised and disformed, and you've got all this beautiful stuff coming in from like the earth and the
Mm-hmm.
sky, and it's getting stuck there like a gross old clog in a pipe that you have to, you got to get
Yeah.
your spiritual Drano, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, so it blocks, it blocks
Mhm.
what you're supposed to be receiving. And
Mhm.
also, it does not help that we're around so many different frequencies that are not natural.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to evolve to accommodate that and overcome that, because so many people are like, they try to, they, even if they try to, like, they didn't, even if it's not on purpose and we're getting like our frequencies and our energy fields are getting poisoned by all this stuff around us, we found a way around it,
Mhm.
because I don't think that anything really can block you if you just break through it. And
Yeah, we're
like,
more powerful.
exactly. You have to remember that you're more powerful than any stupid frequency, even if it kills you. I mean, I know that sounds horrible, but even if you like, people that get really sick from, there's people that get sick from like everything, microwaves, all that stuff. They don't have microwaves in their house because they're so sensitive to it.
Wow.
But at least you got people talking about, oh, wrong one. It moved.
Mhm.
Morning. George, though morning's color black's also symbolic of rebirth.
Ooh. I
And
wear a
it's
lot of
also,
black.
it's very protecting. And that's one of the theories why so many witches wear black, is the black is not as it depends on what you're studying too, because in some hoodoo practices black is like a bad color, but
Yeah.
for most spiritualities I don't think that black is, you know
Mhm.
always mourning.
Black tourmaline.
And it's
Crystal.
protective, right? It's the most protective stone.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, we have even people do like flower colors.
Mhm. Yeah.
See, it depends on where you are. White in China is the color of mourning. So,
Oh, white. Wow. White feels so pure and just, I don't
but
know.
you have to
I
think
like it.
about death. Like, death has this whole stigma. Like, obviously, like, we don't want anybody we love to die. A lot
Mhm.
of us don't want to die. Some of us don't care if we die. Like, it's just, but people forget that like that whole death is not always, you know, it can be the means to a new beginning, if you
Yeah.
believe that there's anything else. If you
Yeah.
believe in like karma or past lives or future lives, in that a reincarnation,
Mhm.
it can be like, oh, you're done with your work here.
Mhm.
So it's a good thing. So I
Yeah.
don't think that death, I think that the concept of death is sometimes very scary to people, but there's
Misunderstood.
also a lot of beauty on it, because right on the other side of death, there's birth of something else. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. I had a terrible nightmare whenever I was younger that my mom died in the dream, and it was just a terrible, horrific, even graphic dream. And it like woke me up, and I was crying. And my mom looked it up, and she said that it meant new life. And then another time, which shortly after there ended up being new life. So then I understood what it meant. And then just this past year I had a dream. My dad had already passed, but I had a dream that he died again. And I was like, what the heck? Like, that sucks. Why am I dreaming about this again? And then I got the message. It it was like he died in that dream to give you new life, because it created a whole new beginning for you, and it's just marks something
yeah,
beautiful.
that's true. Sometimes, I mean, and this is super cliche, like we don't realize the beauty in the world if you have never seen something scary or ugly or evil. You're not going to recognize, if you're just always in this perfect state of everything's good, everything's beautiful, you're not going to recognize other types of beauty around you. But if you've seen hell, you've been there, you come back, you've seen monsters, demons, mean aliens, whatever, you recognize when you see something that's more pure and more high vibrational. And Christian has a question. Oh my gosh, it keeps switching. I'm sorry, guys. I'm ridiculous. Problems caused by blocking contacts. Can you elaborate on that? It's a question.
Problems.
Random content. Can you add to that question? Because I'm not understanding it. Problems caused by blocking contact? Question mark.
Are you asking if there could be something that's blocking you being able to make contact?
Maybe.
A lot of it is self-imposed, I feel like. If you feel like I've had some clients with readings and they're saying, you know, I just feel so blocked. I feel so stuck. I can't make contact. I'm like, well, you keep telling yourself that story. And I promise you, if right now you decide that you can and you will, something's going to happen.
You resist contact. So you don't want to have contact.
Oh, well, that's okay. They don't want to mess with you if you're afraid or if you're not ready. They won't push. I mean, but some people do have those just random crazy reality shifting experiences. But I mean, yeah, it's okay if you're not comfortable with making contact.
Oh, how to stop them. You know, somebody told me this yesterday in the chat for Order of Light, that Elena Denon has a lot of really good protection things that you can do. So random content, look into Elena Denon because she has a lot of protection techniques.
Yeah, because she went through a lot.
Yeah. If you hear her story, it's scary, but cool. I mean, she did that, and you know, it must have been terrifying for her, but look how many people she's helping. So we talk about like the crappy things that happen to us or the scary things. And
yeah, there was actually something that I read from her that so I have had iffy, not necessarily with negative ETs, but more of negative entities and energy, like psychic attacks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But really,
is this after you started opening up?
Yeah, this is whenever after I began having visions, and then I just like the floodgates opened, and I was just very my third eye was like just cracked wide open, and so I had to learn strong energetic boundaries. That's something that has helped me a lot, and I practice on, you know, setting boundaries, saying no, you can't come near me. I'm not, you know, if it's a negative energy or whatever, just setting those boundaries. Some visualization techniques help, but I found out that a lot of it was just working through my own fear. Your fear is what lowers your frequency to allow that to even come in. And something Elena Denon said that really resonated with me was that fear is permission. Do not be afraid because you're giving them permission. We have free will, but I guess they take fear as permission to, you know, they can mess with you. So tell them they can't stop, or they can stop. No, I can't stop it. Oh, you're muted. Priscilla, you're mute.
Oh my god, sorry. I'm sick, so I've been muting to like not cough or heavily breathe. So
yeah, you're good.
Goodness. Sorry guys. So the question was, did Lily have any problems adjusting to her new reality? Has anything really thrown her?
Yeah. It was some of it has been it's been pretty intense. As my gifts began coming online and I started meditating, and you know, they told me you need to work on these chakras. I had a lot of damage to my chakras, a lot of like childhood trauma and just wounds that needed to be healed. I think this is a bit dramatic. I don't think everybody will have to go through this, but I spent a couple months just like crying in my bed, working on my chakras and meditating. It was like I had to let go of all the new, or let go of all of the old to allow in the new. So a lot of like personal development and healing and energy work. But yeah, at first it was tough just finding out that there are like UFOs and other beings out there. I've had to pinch myself multiple times. Like, am I imagining this? Am I going crazy? Because a lot of it's the reality. It's things are stranger than even fiction. Like the truth is stranger than fiction.
Absolutely. And I think the crying's normal. Sometimes the thing that damaged our chakra that we're working on at the time, or all of them sometimes, is something that we've kind of like didn't process at the time. So when you go in to remove that energy, a lot of people start crying. And if you've never worked on your chakras and you just do it and you start doing it all at once, then you're going to cry a lot or you're going to get pissed a lot. But you have to let those pass through you because that's what you were holding on to.
Yeah.
When the event happened that caused this trauma, even in another lifetime, like something happens to us and we don't know how to deal with it. So we just let it internalize, or like we get this big energetic shock and our chakra shrinks up or it expands too much sometimes, so we have to deal with it. So crying is perfectly normal for people working on their chakras for the first time. And then, some people get pissed, they yell.
Yeah.
It's just they want to scream, like, because that's
Yeah.
what they wanted to do when that trauma happened, but they couldn't. Maybe they were a child, or something like that. So,
Yeah. I've
oh my gosh, I
definitely.
just saw that on my mute. I just saw that you're muted, like up there again. I was like, oh, not again.
Am I good?
No, I'm fine. I reread it and I was
Oh.
like, I scared myself. And then I saw another question. Sorry, people have so many good questions for you. Have you had any healings from contact?
Oh yeah, for sure. They have like the first thing that pops in my mind, and what I was just thinking about a second ago too, was whenever I first began making contact, like actually closer, like intimate, they felt like love, and my heart just felt so full, and I bawled my eyes out like every time I would make contact with them. And I think that just that unconditional pure love, it was healing my heart. It was healing me. I had never felt anything. So it makes me want to cry just thinking about it. But but yeah, definitely healings. I've asked them to help me with things, various health things, and and also something that, so whenever all this started happening, I was like, I wear contacts, and wearing contacts is so annoying. And and I asked, well, if I can do this, can I heal my eyesight? Can I get perfect vision? Why not? If we can do whatever, if we have
Right.
the power. And so I set that intention and I asked. And then, I'd forgotten about it like 6 months later. I went to the eye doctor the other day and they were like, that's weird. Your prescription's too strong. Like, they either overprescribed you or your eyes are getting better. And I was like, no way.
Wow, that's interesting, and that's very cool.
Yeah. So I'm
So,
hoping next time it's the eyes are even better than the last time. Then we'll know. Hopefully, I'll have 20/20 vision. Oh,
yeah,
thank
so I'm
you.
just looking for, yeah, he's happy that you had some healing I'm glad for your healing experience. Some people aren't there yet, so um and then, oh, okay. So is this a occurrence? George says yes, eyes are often healed.
That's awesome.
So that's cool to know because I always joke around about needing glasses. So maybe I need to I told my husband and so somebody made a video about these the UFO bitches with glasses. And they were attacking a couple of YouTube podcast females that have glasses. And I was like, well, guys, I don't know if I could fit in because I don't have glasses. But I did think that a bag laying on the side of the road was a dude crouched over a few times. So I need glasses, but maybe I'll just ask them. Hey.
Yeah, to ask them if they can just, heal it, make it better.
Yeah.
I
I
just
always
noticed.
feel sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I didn't have like the comments pulled up, and hi Kat, hi everybody, Christian. I
Oh,
just want to say hi to
yeah.
everyone.
It might start on, like, private chat initially or
Yeah,
something, so and
and
then you have to switch
Araya,
over.
Araya's here. Awesome, so awesome to see you
Got a lot of
guys.
good people here tonight, and some people
Yeah,
were here for Leslie, so thank you for hanging out for 2 hours with me,
yeah,
2.5 hours, so pretty much. But yeah, that was,
awesome.
so Lily, we are coming up on so get your questions in because 'cause we're coming up on the hour, um, and we can just chit chat until that happens. Sansi says her daughter has a hole in her
Auntie.
cornea that she's been doing Reiki on, and now it's healing, and no more need for a transplant.
Oh
So
my
people, you just
gosh.
gotta like believe and ask, and it doesn't really matter like what you believe in is the thing. You can have so many different. There's so many people that believe in different gods, goddesses, maybe like
Angels,
one god. Yeah, like the first time when I first started having these experiences, they were demons and angels. And
Mhm.
then I was kind of like the thought was put in my head like when I was meditating one day, like, angels, huh? Um, they didn't have wings.
Mm.
And they ended up looking up like the pictures of the light beings that are just light silhouettes.
Yeah.
And that's what they were. And there was 3 of them.
Mhm.
And I
Wow, that's
remember,
beautiful.
they came for some definitely emotional healing, like my brother passed away unexpectedly, and that night, they came and were, like, pulling, like, I saw them pulling. I was in, like, a good form of, like, I was paralyzed but not scared,
Mm.
and I was awake, and I saw them pulling out, like, these black sheets of energy,
Mm.
and I don't know what it is, what it
Wow.
was now, but it was something that needed to be removed because they were kinda, like, loving but stern, like, "Go to sleep."
Mhm.
And I was just like, "F you," like, "I'm not gonna go to sleep. My brother just died. I don't wanna hear any angels right now. I'm mad at God. I'm mad at any gods and goddesses. I'm mad at the aliens. I'm mad at the angel. I'm mad at everything right now. So
Yeah.
don't." But we're loving, but
Mhm.
kinda like authoritative, but like tough love kinda thing. And
Yeah.
they started pulling out these energy things out of me, and then
That's
I just fell
awesome.
asleep, and I couldn't even talk about that for so long you know, um, because it was so powerful.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
So, random content. How does somebody go about getting a reading from you?
So there's a link on my website at lilynovaspaceart.com. And if you scroll down just a little bit, it'll say book a Star Origins reading. I also have the link in my link tree. There's a tab. And you just fill out the form. I ask a few key questions like what specifically do you want to learn besides your star origins? That's a given with the readings. But if there's anything specific that you want me to look into or any questions that you have, and so you fill out the form and book a time and date, and then we do it.
Very cool. Yes, and I have her link tree in the description, guys. So if you want to go there after or now and go check it out. Another question is from George. Have contact induced any OBEs or feelings of vibrations at night?
I haven't had an OBE. I think maybe once out of body experience. It was totally on accident whenever I was younger. Since then, I have not, but I have heard other people and feelings of vibrations at night. I'll often hear, especially in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
frequencies, higher pitched noises and sounds, and often, actually, before I go to bed, um, I can hear buzzing like frequently. So
Yes.
hearing that sound, and lately I've been getting like the jolts. I think it's because we're made out of so much electricity and so much energy. I think it's my body like acclimating to this higher energy. So
And that's happened. I can kind of like second that. Like I always, people say like it's tinnitus. Well, this stuff didn't happen until after my first sighting when I was 5, and I remember after that kind of like there are some nights where for a while I thought it was like weird bugs
mm,
outside, and then it got too. much. And I thought, like, as a little girl, I'm like, I'm going crazy. Like, this is going to drive me crazy. I can't sleep. It's too loud. And the
Wow.
second I said it was too loud, it kind of like changed into something that wasn't as like, it kind of sounded like cicadas at first, but not cicada, like robot cicadas. It was super weird.
Wow.
And then I still get that, but only if I can tap into it now. It doesn't just like, or maybe I'm just used to it now, but it'll change. Like sometimes it sounds like Morse code, or more kind of like robotic than other times, or sometimes it sounds like music. Like I'll think there's like like the typical like like heaven music,
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's super weird. I'm like, I'm crazy, but if you have that, you're probably clairaudient. So you'll probably get more like verbal or sound messages from something that seems disembodied, or like it's coming out of nowhere, but it's coming from them. Also, like pressure in your head.
Yeah.
Obviously, like if you've been cleared for any brain tumors and all that stuff, that's just a disclaimer. But like I'll hear like the ringing and it'll get super loud, and I'll get this pressure, and I just have to like lay down because I feel like I'm gonna black out.
Yeah. What's interesting, the past 2 readings that I've done, they mentioned a pressure. I don't feel that. Maybe sometimes some pressure, like whenever I'm laying down and stuff. But yeah, I think that's a common, that's a big one too. Just pressure.
So I have not had a regression. Lily, have you had a regression?
No, but well, I mean, I've done some past life. Actually, so I've had 2 spontaneous regressions. Just like happened. For 2 different past lives, and I like kind of relived and experienced it, and learned the lessons from it, processed it and everything. One of them was when I was burned alive as a witch in like old England times, and then another one was from a life on Lyra with whenever the reptilians attacked. But I haven't had like a official, like whole regression, just kind of two. I do want to do that though. Maybe
You'll have to contact Leslie.
yeah, I am really interested. Just the past like week, I've been getting a lot of signs and synchronicities about doing hypnotherapy, so I'm pretty interested to try it.
Yeah, he says random content says spontaneous regressions are intense. Yes, I remember doing. So I've done a past life meditation that turned into a super crazy regression.
Wow.
And you're right. That's a good way to put. I never thought of it as a spontaneous regression. I'm always like, oh, I got like visions from my past life, But that, yeah, I had the whole Lyra thing. We should talk later because the whole Lyra thing happened. It was actually very scary. Like I started crying because this I don't know if you guys know about the Lyran situation. Way back when the reptilians started kind of taking over planets and stuff, but it was very scary. And then also like the whole witch thing, like to this day I'm like terrified of I had some asshole. There was one asshole priest at my Catholic school that definitely gave me a reason to be afraid, but irrationally afraid of priests sometimes, and like men of God.
Yeah.
And the regression showed me like almost like a montage of from like Lyra to like now.
Wow.
And it was these little snips, and it's crazy because you'll see people that you met. Like I've seen people I met online when I'm doing, because I do past life regression, but I don't want to mess with my abduction stuff because I remember some of it not being so pleasant. And it was from a time where I thought for sure there were demons doing it. So that was more of like entity attack maybe. But I don't want to know, but I'm past that. And even if they were taking me, I'm like, they were just working. They're just doing their job. That kind of makes me feel a little bit better, but now it's like, the past life stuff comes up and it brings up real feelings. Like the whole fear of religious men in particular, not so much females, but men. So doing the past life regression, it was just a meditation and it ended up being a regression. So I'm glad you guys told me about that term, because that's one that I never thought of. I was just like, yeah, I had these visions of my past life, or I'll be meditating, doing like a contact meditation, and I'll start meeting different types of beings, and they'll show me like, hey, like you were here doing this. And I just kind of wrote it off as imagination, but people downplay their imagination when they're meditating, because where is that even coming from sometimes,
Yeah, it's coming from somewhere. You're being inspired by something, or getting those downloads.
And this is another thing too, like the dream state. there are theories on why we do that when we fall asleep. It's like I'm leaving one part of me and exiting or going to another state. Now, I've grown up with dreams being very significant to our life and also being a witch to me. Like I'm working in my dreams. That's another realm that we go to.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, part of you does leave, and maybe that's just like the inherent Native American knowledge from my dad's side, or maybe it's just my grandma always speaking about her dreams and the symbolism. Maybe I was just raised that way, but at the same time, people definitely downplay what they're doing in their sleep or what their consciousness or their light bodies or ethereal bodies are doing in their sleep. There's so many different things people call it, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you're busy. You're busy whenever you go to bed.
Let's see if
Definitely
there's
busy.
any more. I don't want to have to keep you all night. Yeah. So astral travel, about out of body experiences. I would say that the more you start meditating and learning how to stay, for me, I kind of feel it as like staying between like awake and asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to try like when I help a lot of people like lucid dream and I help them with their dream symbolism. It's just like one of the things that I do. I taught like a dream class to how to interpret your own dreams and how people can do like dream intentions to start lucid dreaming, because the only time that I was able to stop some certain types of entity attacks were when I learned how to lucid dream. And that kind of led to like, oh, I think I left my body last night, because I woke up and the whole bed was like like shaking.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
almost like I fell on the bed. And even one night my husband like came running in the room like, what was that sound? I was like, he's like, I thought like I was gonna walk into the room and like
Wow.
the wall was gonna be hanging off, or like something burst into the room. I thought you were gonna be like dead or something. And I was like, no, but I was doing like a meditation. And I fell
Yeah.
asleep doing it, but I was having like these lucid dreams. And but yeah,
That's
you can feel
crazy.
yourself coming back, which is funny.
Yeah, I felt the bed shake whenever the one time I tried doing it too. It freaked me out. I was like, I'm done.
Sometimes you'll like go back, because it's like you have to stop yourself from falling asleep, and that's when you can start astral projecting. And I've only done it like 2 times, like sitting up. And one time I could not walk for a half hour, because I think it was just like kind of like controlled chaos. Like I wanted to, but I didn't know what to do. And I didn't know how to ground when I came back. And so I was just like laying there, and like nothing fell asleep. Like people were like, oh, well, maybe something fell asleep. I'm like, no, I've meditated way longer than that amount of time before. Nothing fell asleep. I know I'm old, but shit's not going to fall asleep that fast. And then also I have like a nice meditation pillow, which makes a difference, because it makes your spine sit a certain way, so you don't get that discomfort in your legs falling asleep.
Oh, nice.
So that was kind of scary. I was just kind of like laying there like, what is going on? They're like, it's going to pass. And then another guy told me some crazy stuff about that too, but that would be a whole nother segment. Ancestral memories. Let's see.
Somebody asked, Christine asked,
there it is.
Where can you read about your sighting when you were 5? I'm wondering the same thing. Do you have that anywhere, Priscilla?
So actually I'll put it in my link tree, but last night I wasn't on there last night, but last night, my whole experience is on the Order of Light podcast.
Oh,
so
awesome.
if you follow Order of Light podcast or Order of Light on YouTube. The whole thing's there, and he did these animations, guys. Like he's like, I know it's not like exactly like your experience, but that is the first time that I'd seen it animated besides in my memory. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I've had some amazing people draw it for me, and that like one of my friends, his mom drew it, and I need to get a frame for it so I can like put it up somewhere when we move, but I'm moving, so I'm not putting anything up now. But when I saw the drawing, it like I was just crying. But last night when I'm like giving the kids a bath and hanging out in the chat, because he was like releasing the video that night, he had so many great graphics on there. And yeah, look up Order of Light, and you should be following them anyways if you're not. So yeah.
Yeah, they're cool. Order of Light's cool.
Yeah, and you're the one that kind of like put us in touch, so thank you for that. Because
yeah, I'm glad that he that you got to see some of that stuff animated. It makes I bet it makes such a difference being able to actually like see it and showing
Yeah, because
people
you're
like
telling
this is
people
what.
for all these years, like I wasn't telling so many people, but there were people that I talked to it about before,
Mhm.
the first time I had went public and told the whole story was on that one time I was abducted by aliens podcast. So it's there
Wow.
too. But Robert did all these animations and looked at pictures. Like he was messaging me like, okay, well, did the gray look like this or did it look like this? He was asking so many great questions. So he tells the story, guys, when he does his videos. Like it's not just like how I'm talking to Lily right now. Like he'd be talking to Lily and having all these cool things popping up, and he's a
Yeah.
pro. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was meeting so many beautiful people, and I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, am I supposed to? I feel like I'm being forced to pick a side. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm all about the government disclosure. I want that to happen. They need to be held accountable, but at the same time, I don't expect anything. And I
Mhm.
feel like I want to be there for the majority of people that are having these experiences that are either beautiful or terrifying or both.
Yeah.
And I feel like, the people that they're credible witnesses, they're starting to get the support they need. So people are taking care of that part of the equation. Like disclosure has all these facets, and every one of us is one. And that'd be a really big ass diamond, or big whatever. But we all
Yeah.
have a role to play, and some people's
Yeah.
role to play is to not give a shit about it, believe it or not. So, and that's hard when we want people to listen to me,
Yeah.
this is real. But
Mhm.
you just have to respect what people are doing, even the skeptics. But I'm leaning more towards the side where I really just want to be there for people.
Mhm.
Because there's not, in most cases, people don't have somebody to talk to in their everyday life. So if I'm making this platform saying oh, I care about this subject, well, cool. We've got all the big wigs handling the government stuff. Hopefully that helps. Some people need that to believe. So I get it. I don't
Mhm.
trust that, but I get that it is part of the process. But for me, I want to be here for people. And that's always been my role, even as a person in everyday life. Like if people
Yeah.
call me when shit hits the fan, and that's my job, to be there for people.
Yeah.
So,
I
yes,
love it.
it's part of the community, just like what you're doing, like leading the meditations and helping people get into that space is
Mhm.
very important too, because people need to understand how to do it in a controlled way. But some
Mhm.
people are just having these like me for the longest time, like these beings just popping up here and there, like, hey, and
Yeah.
before you understand it, you're afraid of it.
Yeah.
Um, and there was a point in my life where one was in the room, and I was like super young, and it was after my
Wow.
first experience, and it was this mantis holographic thing, and I
Oh.
was just like, whoa, what is that? First, you're in awe. And then, there's your fear takes over real fast. You're like, oh shit, there's something in my room. There's
Wow.
something in my room. Is that a monster? Is that a demon? I've never seen anything like this. It's not doing anything. It's not trying to hurt me. But at the same time, when you see something that you've never seen before,
Especially a
it,
bug.
yeah,
I'm
especially something that
sorry,
has
bugs
looks
freak
like a
me out.
mantis. Yeah, like a mantis head. And then you're like, am I awake? And you're awake. That's crazy town for me. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we are hanging out past the hour so far. Do you have
Okay.
anything else you want to talk about, or is there anything else you want to address in the chat?
I think alien contact party. I like that. We need a new political party just for us weirdos. The alien contact party. I agree with that. Yeah, and I guess I don't know if there's anything else that uh, I've got live Sunday
Oh, that's
meditations.
right.
Yeah, if you guys would like to. So it's kind of like CE5 slash meditation. I'll be doing live CE5, like outdoor ones eventually as it warms up. But it's really awesome. The people that have been showing up and getting together in a group, setting our intention together, the energy's been powerful. We've seen orbs. We've had my light pop. It gets really it gets it's pretty cool, and it's been there's people in the chat too, so definitely come check out the live Sunday meditations on my YouTube channel, Lily Nova Starseed, and it's Sundays at 2 p.m. Central.
And it is in, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about my voice, guys. I still have this horrible cough. Everything's in the description too. So like if you are like, oh shoot, I didn't write that down or anything, just go to the
Mhm.
description after we're done. Her link tree is there and it has everything that you need.
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, thank you everybody for listening. I think my voice might be giving out on me for today. Let's hang out afterwards, Lily. Thank you, Kat, Deborah, Sansi, Chris, anybody that's new listening in the chat, anybody
Yeah.
that's listening now, later in another dimension. Please give me some feedback, a follow, a share. Same thing for Lily. And there's other ways to support the channels in the description. Have a great night, guys, and I really, really do appreciate you showing up and listening.